Hello everyone, Bitstream here bringing you another video. Today I'm going to be giving you an update on my journey with Profit Trailer here, considering what's going on in the markets. So we're going to just take a look at my results since my last video, which was just uploaded not too long ago, at least from my vantage point here. And we're going to see how those trades have done. How those positions have done, what I've exited, what I'm still in, and all of that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we can see here currently this is my pairs log. During the last video, I boosted the pairs that I'm allowed to trade up to 4. I actually did that just to load up the buy log so everybody could see it, but I decided to keep it because I'm actually into some more conservative positions, and the market has paused as far as the drop for right now. We're still in a bear market, but we did get a tiny bit of a bounce off of the $6,000 level in Bitcoin. So I felt pretty secure in allowing it to maintain the 4 pair maximum for now. We can see, I forgot what it was on the last video. I don't know if it was 3.5 or 3.6, but we have improved our Bitcoin count since then. And we've got 3 pairs in our pairs log right now. We've got Zcash, we've got some Ripple and Bitcoin Cash in there. And this is where we're sitting at. And these positions, they're pretty much all new. I've had several trades today. So you can see the time. The current time right now for me is 5 o'clock p.m. So I don't know why these times are off, but this should be p.m. At least on these two. So I don't know what's going on with the time frame there, but I've just gotten to this position like an hour ago maybe. And this position is a little bit older. This Bitcoin Cash has kind of been sitting there. And if we come over to our DCA log, you can see that I've got to our Ethereum still sitting there. So that position is kind of going sideways. There's not a lot of volatility in Ethereum. So I'm trying to decide, what do I want to do with that? Do I want to keep it there? It already DCA'd once. I doubt if it's going to do it again because it has to get down 5%. So I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do with that. But that's where we're at with that. And these positions, they're kind of bouncing around. And I'm noticing some play between my sell triggers. So right now I've got it set to sell at 0.8% up from once it gets into profit, but I'm noticing some more play in that sell order. So I've got it to trail. I believe I got it to trail at 0.25% right now, but I do notice that even if it gets above the 0.8 area and it trails back more than 2.5%, sometimes it won't sell. So I'm curious as to why that is. I do know that this number, this profitability, is calculated based on the bid price. So it's not based on the last price, but the bid price, the price that it knows that it can actually sell for. So if you look at the chart, oftentimes the profitability will seem higher, but the charts are calculated on the last trade and not the bid price. So I don't know if you can see that, but Zcash right now is trading for 4815, I believe. Yeah, 4815. And if we come over to our profit trailer, it's telling us our current price is 4804. So that is actually the bid price, which you can barely make out right here. I know the print is probably small, but you can make it out right here, the bid price and not the actual last trade. So I'm still trying to figure out the intricacies, because it's kind of annoying to miss a profit once it pops up and then it comes back down. It's kind of annoying. You're sitting there like, why didn't I get out? So but it does get out eventually. It's just I don't know at what point or what the determination is there. I did shrink. I shrunk my spread to 0.5% because I was thinking maybe that's what's going on with that. The spread is too big for it to get out with me in profit. So I don't know if that'll have an effect or not, but we'll see. So if we go over to our dust log real quick, remember the last video I showed that we had a little bit of ripple in there. Now that's gone because it was soaked up with this particular trade right here. So I'm very happy about that. Got rid of a little bit of dust for me. So I hope that we can trade some poet next and get this little bit out. I'm kind of upset about this position because when I first got into it, the next day it was up like 22%, but I couldn't sell it because there wasn't enough to sell. And now it's down 10%. So I was like, man, but it's not a lot of money. So it is what it is. So yeah, so I messed with a couple of settings and I might go through what changes that I made and why I made them. But first, let's look at our sales log so we can see how we've done today. So these are our trades that we've done today. I mentioned on the last video that the bot seemed to like this particular pair, and I actually figured out why. It's because I had a setting in there that had it buy this particular pair at a much more expensive price, or not even expensive price, but just it didn't have to go down as far as the other coins for it to look to buy it. So it was trading in and out of this coin like crazy because of the settings that I had. But I thought about keeping that setting, but at the same time, if the market takes another dive down, it would really expose me to bags. So I didn't want to chance it. So I just reset it back so that I can give some other pairs a chance, because at the same time, this was also soaking up capital and a pair for me when I'm usually holding on to about 3 or 4 pairs as is. So I decided to go ahead and back off of this particular pair, give some other pairs a chance and see how it worked out. So it still ended up getting into this coin anyway, because it's a pretty volatile coin, but the buy position was much better and exactly what I expected it to be versus being very shallow. And I'll show you what I mean later. So we can see we had a successful Zcash trade, whatever coin this is, I forgot. Some Stratus. This is I think this is a long held position that we got out of, or semi-long position that we got out of. No, it was actually Neo. Neo was a semi-long position that we finally got out of. So we were deep in the red with Neo for a little bit. I was holding this through sell-only mode yesterday. So it finally popped up and got us out here at a small little profit right there. So happy about that. And you can see this position. This is one of the bags that I got caught in due to the very liberal trading the settings that I had on this particular coin. This one DCA 3 times, but it did get out at a nice profit on a pop, because again, this coin is pretty volatile. So we did get a nice trade out of that eventually, but I did hold on to that one for a good while. So yeah, so it is working out very good right now. It's getting rid of the bags eventually. Even the bags that we held through the massive drop that we had. So it's clearing out. So happy with that. And if we look at our overall monitoring, we can see today so far we're up about 1.25% on our trades. Yesterday it's showing nothing because there weren't really any trades, because the market was just going straight down. So it was just holding on to what it had. But we did escape just about all of our positions, I think, except for Ethereum. And got some nice profits out of that today. So I'm very happy with that. My goal is to get 2% per day. So that's my goal. And I want to try to shoot for at least 0.5% per day, even on a bad day. That's my goal. So once I can get the settings to do that, then I think we'll be on a good trajectory as far as that's concerned. I'm also considering switching over my base pair to Tether, but I'm not going to do that until Bitcoin recovers a bit. If I do that, number one, because that is, I won't give this a chance to recover. Number two, there's a lot less trading pairs for Tether on Binance and just about every other exchange. There's only like 5 pairs that you can trade. So I would really have to adjust my settings or do a second instance of the bot or something like that. But I am considering it, just because, in a bad market, you don't want to be in Bitcoin if you can help it. You want to be in the dollar until the market stabilizes. So it's a much more stable trading pair, but it does have plenty of disadvantages there as well. So that's what we're doing so far. And I did make some major adjustments to my settings to try them out. I adjusted our pairs here. Well, not so much in the pairs, but more so in our indicators. But I did adjust the pairs a little bit. So we could see I'm still on the EMA gain strategy. And our buy value is still down negative 1.5%. And I moved up the trail to 0.25 on the buy, just so I can see if I can get the coins at a little bit more favorable entry point. So we'll see how that works out. Let me see. I think that's all the major changes that I did. I did come down here and adjust these, so the individual pairs. I made some adjustments here to make them more conservative, I guess. So the coin would have to drop faster and harder for me to get into a lot more of these pairs. For instance, Zcash, now it has to drop 0.75%, 0.75%, where I used to have that at like 0.5% for the bot to look at it. So it has to meet a much tougher standard for me to buy. Well, not much tougher, but a little bit tougher. And I just went through here and adjusted. And I did that because if I go to my indicators, I changed my EMA settings. So, and I'll go to the I'll go to a chart to show you what I mean. So my EMA settings, they used to be a little bit different. So I had my fast EMA line. It used to be at 5 candles back. Now I lengthened that to 12 candles to smooth it out just a bit. And my slow line, I really tightened that up to 24 candles, down from 96 candles back, because I felt like it was keeping me out of bull runs. So that's an effect that I kind of accepted that was going to happen when I had the longer candles, but now with the flattening out of the market, and I think that we're somewhere close to a possible bottom. If we do start getting some bull runs in these coins, I don't want to be kept out of it. So what I did is I tightened up this slow line right here, and let me show you what I mean. So if I adjust this back to 96 candles, so we can see that now this average, it's not going to trade anything above this average. What it's looking at is both averages, and it's looking for the price of the coin to be below both averages. It has to be at least 1.5% below both of these averages to consider buying the coin. So like right here, for example, it would have considered buying the coin even under my old settings. And I also moved it to a 5-minute chart instead of a 15-minute chart. So this 300 seconds right here used to be 900 seconds. So the main point that I'm trying to make with this is you can see all of this right here, like this particular downstroke. The bot used to not even consider that. Now it would consider it. This particular downstroke wouldn't consider that. and I would have missed out on this run right here. I would have missed out on this run right here as well. I would have gotten into this run, but there's several other runs that I would have missed out of. So you can kind of see in a rising market, or even a somewhat positive sideways market, there's a lot of runs that you're going to miss out on in a lot of these coins if your settings are too conservative. But you know, that's just something that you're going to have to decide for yourself how you want to handle it. So I tighten this up to 24. So now you can see all of these bull runs at the end of them. When the coin retraces, I'll have a possibility to get into those particular runs, because where the average used to be down here keeping me out of all of these, now I have access to these deep dives to see if we can pick up a quick snipe trade. And it has been working so far, you know. But again, the risk, you just have to understand the risk is if you don't get this pop, you're going to get into a position where, you know, you might collect some bags. So you really want to make sure that you have your DCA settings set to account for the fact that you might be getting into worse trades possibly. So I've found for me, somewhere between 1.5% to 3% for my first level DCA seems to be where I want to be. Haven't decided what number that I want it to be at right now, but usually I'm out of trouble by the first or second DCA eventually, because these coins and pretty much markets in general, they tend to trade like stair steps. So it's not that they so much that they go down and then immediately back up on, you know, in general, they usually go down and then sideways for a little bit before they choose a direction again, or they'll go up and sideways for a little bit before they choose a direction again. Even though it doesn't really look like it in the chart, that's what, when you're actually trading the coin, that's kind of what you see. So you just kind of have to account for that and see if you can pick up on these quick tails down here. If you can catch one of these trades down here, or, you know, catch the bottom of one of these trades, any of these trades, then you're out very fast. And that's what that other coin that I was trading, it happened to be doing that, but I don't trust it. I don't trust getting in that shallow. So let me explain that. So if I take a look at this position down here, what I thought the coin was doing, I thought I had it set for buying at, you know, down 1.5% from our lines, which would have been down here, but it was actually set to 0.25%. So, you know, it would have been going, let's take this little drop right here. It would have been going down only that little bit, that far right there, before it would get into the coin. So it was exposing me to buying too early, you know, exposing me to buy pretty much any downswing in the coin, regardless of where it was in the overall trend, the overall channel. And that's not what I wanted. It was too I don't know if the word is too conservative or too liberal. I'm just going to go with too liberal. So the trade was too liberal, and getting me into too many risky positions for what I'm going for. Usually I like to buy it when it's about 1.5% down, or start looking, because the reason for that is I have to give some wiggle room for the coin to go up and down. Like you see it going up and down right here. This move, this wiggle room right here, it's going up and down by about 0.25%. And my trail right now is 0.25%. So I have to build into my trades that even though my target is to start looking at 1.5% down, I might actually buy down only 1% or 1.25% or something like that, because it's actually trailing. And if it trails and it pops up, you know, I might get into a worse trade than I think that I'm getting into. simply because I have the trail on, and that's the yin and the yang of having a trailing stop. So I have to account for that by saying that I want a nice long candle down, and that will give me room for my trail to work in the worst possible situation for the trail while it's still down here. So I have to forgive a little piece of this bottom to give my trail room to work. And then on the way back up, I have a trail on the way back up as well. So, the coin could go up from where I buy it 2%, but there's also a trail on the upside. So I have to account for that drop as well. And I have to make sure the space between that is enough room to actually make a profit. And you've got the exchange fees as well that you have to worry about in there. So basically what I'm saying is, if I'm trying to make a profit on this drop right here up to this pop in the next few candles over, I have to make sure that I have enough wiggle room in here to pay for the exchange fees. I have to have enough wiggle room for my trails on both sides, entering and exiting the trade, and enough room for the profitability that I want. So these candles, if I'm expecting to make a profit within this area right here, this is only a 1.5% move. There might not be enough move in here for me to make a profit that fast. But if I restrict my settings to say, okay, if I do the math right, then I can make a profit all while the coin is trading at below average price, if I catch it low enough, because then there'll be enough room in that coin for it to pop up, and then me get out at a profit, pretty fast. So I just have to look at those calculations and make sure, and that's why I kind of have it set the way that I do right now, to make sure that I have all of that wiggle room in there so that I can exit the coin in a relatively quick order if the coin behaves like I want it to. And if it doesn't behave like I want it to, then that's when DCA will come in and hopefully save the day, and hopefully the coin doesn't trade sideways, which they often do. That's kind of what's going on with these pairs right now, is we got into the coin and they're just trading sideways. So they dropped and then went to the right. So they're not really going down and they're not really going up. They're just hanging around right now. So there's that. What else is there? I thought about buying profit trailer feeder today, but again, I decided against it because I honestly think Bitcoin is in a bear market right now and kind of probably heading lower. So let's take a look at that right now. Just see. Oops. Let's just look at Coinbase. Bitcoin is always really cheap on Coinbase, relatively speaking. I noticed that. So we've had a small recovery today, but if we look at the overall, if we just widen our gaze a bit, and let's just look at the daily chart. Look at the daily chart. So, in my opinion, we're in a very well-established down trend, a down channel right now. And I'm not sure, I'm not totally married to where the channels are because we broke through several key areas of resistance, or excuse me, support, several key areas of support. I think our next support is going to be around 5,000. We've got this dip right here that I'm working off of, and we actually touched that dip according to this chart and bounced off of it, but we're still in a series of lower lows and lower highs right now. So today would be a lower high unless it can break this candle right here. Then I think that we're still headed lower. And I think if we break this area of support, this, $5,000 range, the upper $5,000 range, then honestly, our next stop is going to be in the $3,000 range. So the $3,500 range, the low side of that, $3,000, based on this low that we've got right here. So we bounced off of that before in 2017 to continue upwards. So I think those are our two key areas of support. And if we break that, which right now the momentum is headed towards that, then we're going to 3,000 in my opinion. So I say that to say I didn't want to buy it right now because I think I can get it cheaper, honestly. So I did consider it, but I decided against it. But the bot's doing pretty well without it. Honestly, I've got my sell only mode enabled. Once Bitcoin gets down 6%, it stops buying and it has to recover to down 4% before it trades again. So that's where we're at. I see this all the time. It just pops out of nowhere like bloop. So why don't we look at Zcash, see what that's doing. We can get some idea of the bot behavior and know what to expect. And let me zoom in to the bot level. So yeah, so I've got my profitability already set up on this trade. So we entered the trade right around here. Actually, I think it was back here, but this is kind of an example where I would think that we entered the trade too early. Because even if we got in right here, I don't know if we entered on this candle. Actually, I think we entered in on, yeah, I think we entered on this candle, actually, sorry. So actually, that is a good trade in my opinion. So we can see that this is kind of an example of what I'm talking about, where sometimes it baffles me why it doesn't exit trades sometimes. But so we bounced up here before, we got up to this point, and that's a 1.5% gain, roughly, maybe like 1.25 or something like that percent gain right here. And we're still in the trade right now. So we took all of these losses before we pop back up again. So I'm still trying to figure out why. At this point, I think I had it set to have a minimum profit of 1%, and that may be why, even though this is above a 1% gain at that point. But I don't know. This is weird stuff, man. So I'm still trying to work through what all that means. But I would like to have been out of this trade already at this level. And this is a good example of what I mean. You have to give it enough wiggle room to work. So what happened with this one, it got down here and then it popped back up, triggering the trail to actually buy. So I didn't get at the lowest point. I don't think you should ever expect to get a buy at the lowest point of a candle. But I got a little trail right here and it popped and it bought. So we took a little bit and then we popped back up right here. So I just have to figure out why it didn't exit the trade at this point, or, trail down at that point. So I don't know. We'll see. And we just got a pop on film right there. I don't know what these coins trade crazy, man. Maybe that's why, because when it does something like that, the bot's not going to sell on something like that. It popped out of here and then I don't know what it did. So maybe that's why. So I guess intellectually you think that this is like a smooth, unbroken line up and down, but it's really like leapfrogging from one place to another. So I don't know. I wish the bot would like place a limit order at the profitability area, and maybe that's just, I mean, it does place limit orders, but I don't know. I don't know the language to get it to actually place the order at that level and still trail. Like if I took trailing off, then it would just place, I believe it would just place a limit order and just get out at, 1% or whatever, and then you be leaving a lot of possible money on the table. But I don't know how to get it to do a trail and place a limit order, once it's trading above where it needs to trade. So I don't know, but more to come, more to learn. But it is trading. It's doing its thing, and I do feel comfortable at this point. Just kind of leaving it to do its thing. One thing I forgot to address in my last video is that a lot of people recommend that you place this bot on a VPS, basically on a remote computer that you can buy for like $10 a month. I opted not to do that because one, my computer runs all day anyway. Two, I've got very fast internet. I've got fiber. And three, I don't have enough in there to justify paying $10 a month. I would be literally paying to run the bot at a loss with the amount that I have in there right now. So yeah, there's that. But if you are going to be putting more in there than what I have, then maybe it's a good thing for you. Maybe you have a different situation or a computer that you can't have just sitting there running all day. So, but that is recommended that you get a VPS to run your bot remotely. It's just I'm not doing that right now. So that's my next day update. I am very, very happy with the product so far. Very, very happy with the bot. And maybe next video, I'll actually take you into Binance and you can actually see the trades on Binance itself so that you can know that this is your money. It's not, within the bot. The bot does not have access to pull out your money or anything like that. If I wanted to go to Binance right now and pull all these coins out and move them elsewhere, I could. If I wanted to go to Binance and trade on my own, I could. Like if I wanted to go to Binance and exit this position and put in my own limit order, I could do that. And the bot would be like, hey, what's going on? Oh, okay, something's different. Let me fix it. And then it'll adjust itself. So I do love the control that you have over it. I hope that the developers continue to upgrade it and add different functionality as far as different trading signals. For example, I would love if they put stochastics in there, if they put stochastics or even RSI as an indicator. Man, I would be so happy. I'd kill this thing. And better yet, if they had, signal filters maybe. So if it did the EMA gain strategy, but also cross-check that against RSI or stochastics or even Bollinger Bands or something like that, where it would cross-check trades before it made them. Oh man, that would be so awesome. So maybe that's to come, but that's where we're at with it. That's my update, and maybe I'll do an update on Devore and stuff like that later, but right now my focus is right here, and we'll see how that goes. All right. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. And happy trading to you. So Bitstream out.